Healthcare for is used to create.
Hey Fairfield University, I'm here just hours before Rick Miller goes to perform for MacHomer. I actually got to interview him, so here it is.
Homer is, in 3 words, well, 4, The Simpsons do Macbeth. That's sort of the short version. It's pretty much a brutally edited version of Macbeth in which I stuff 50 Simpsons characters in a kind of crazy one-man show where I play all the characters myself, and there's a lot happening on screen and with lights. It's this crazy Halloween episode of The Simpsons, basically.
So how did you come up with this idea? I mean, it's so new.
It's funny, I've been doing it for so long, and it started really, really with humble beginnings. I was playing Murder Number 2 in a production of Macbeth in 1994. So I was right out of school. I had just graduated with a master's in architecture and a kind of half degree in music and theater. I was just dabbling, and I was playing this small role, and I had all this time backstage to sit there and sort of take it all in. And I wanted to show off a bit because I knew I could do more than Murder Number 2. And I created this cast party joke that eventually became MacHomer.
So how does it feel when you're up there and performing in front of everyone?
Oh, it's great. I mean, that's sort of why you keep doing it. I mean, it's not easy. It's a very specific skill that I have, and it's exhausting, especially on my throat. But it's great to fill up a theater and have them stand after 70 minutes based on what you've just done is very rewarding. And I also had a lot to do with the creation of the show. I feel that this is really my baby in a way.
Part of the creation were you involved with?
Well, I initially kind of did it all, and I had other people contribute costume and various things, and so I did all the drawings, but I had people in my office who were better on computers than I am sort of render the drawings and turn it into this constant DVD background. I have a designer, Beth Cates, who did all the props and the set and the lighting, which is quite sophisticated for the show. And there's a bunch of video design and various things, but overall I did the music, the drawings, and the performance of it. And I never wanted to be sort of pigeonholed in one area in acting, and you often get stuck. People want to know what you are, and I've always fought against that. So I can do MacHomer, and then I can go do this very different sort of avant-garde theater work where I'm one of 9 other actors in a production and lose myself in that.
So how long have you been doing voices? Since you were a little kid, or?
I was a pretty bookish little kid. I was a bit of a nerd, and
which is okay.
It's fine.
Okay.
I know. It's fine. Good for us nerds. I was never one of the cool kids. I wasn't even lead actor in any plays. I knew I could sing. My mother had a good voice, and I had a good ear. And I think Canadians generally, we observe. There are a lot of stand-up comics who come from Canada because I guess we observe down south, and we can see a lot of things happen, and we tend to make fun of it. So I always was able to parody and make fun of other people's voices and mannerisms in a gentle way, and I realized that people will pay to see that kind of skill. So part of my career is imitating and parody and a bit of a satire here and there.
So what is the resonance that's in MacHomer that was in Macbeth, Shakespeare's?
At first it was just a joke, frankly. I wasn't looking for much resonance, but then I found that there's something to Macbeth and this idea of one dysfunctional family going into this other dysfunctional family. And I've always loved crashing 2 sort of dissonant things together and seeing what happens in the explosion, Yeah. To me, it's really interesting to do that, and I like crossing over borders between media and just sort of, messing around. And MacHomer was messing around at first, and I guess I've realized since then, Shakespeare's been around for 400 years. He was pop culture 400 years ago, and most productions of Shakespeare now find it very hard to communicate with an audience, and this is one way to kind of get through to it. So I feel I'm not, if anything, dumbing down Shakespeare, because the Simpsons aren't dumb. You may not like the Simpsons, but they're not dumb. They're, if anything, bringing it back to a level of pop culture and kind of entertainment that I feel. He was a businessman. He was an entertainer. He was, writing for a paycheck and to please the king and please the masses, the TV watching audience at the time. So I don't know. I feel I'm messing with, not so much with Macbeth so much, but with Shakespeare and the whole high artness of Shakespeare.
And I've read that you've met, actually, some of the characters who play the voices of The Simpsons. How was that? I mean,
it was very surreal, actually. Yeah. I was at this cast party, because they had come to Edinburgh, where I was performing for a month. They had come for one night.
Where's Edinburgh?
Edinburgh Festival in Scotland. Okay. It's the largest arts festival in the world. It's a massive thing, and I was doing MacHomer You know, the Scottish play Macbeth in Scotland is very well known. The Simpsons were everywhere. I had a big hit on my hands. And then the Simpsons were coming, and I thought this was going to be the beginning of the end. You know, they're going to shut me down, and, you know, it's all been great. But anyway, and next thing you know, I'm at this party afterwards with all these actors who I don't know, and I kind of went up to Dan Castellaneta, and I said, you know, I'm the MacHomer guy. And this is what I remember. And he went, to be or not to be, which was Hamlet, of course, but kind of broke the ice. Yeah. And next thing you know, all the other people were flocking around me going, do my voice, do my voice. Or I was being led around the room as a bit of a party trick again. And I think they were very pleased and sort of surprised that someone had actually bothered.
That's great. And after 15 years, do you feel like you've achieved, you know, your goal for this show and even for yourself?
I tend to not. It's not that I don't set goals. I just sort of find life and these shows evolve, and I don't know where they're going to go. I keep reworking MacHomer because I want it to be a good show. Yeah. But I'm never entirely sure what my goal is. I want to keep doing it as long as people want to see it, and as long as I don't get sickly bored of it. And I don't get bored of it because I don't do it for the whole year. If I did it 8 shows a week for the year, I'd go insane, first of all. Because, you know, I'd gone from like, oh, to, hey, everybody, excellent. Hello, I'm actor Troy McClure. I'm Atto. Hello, I am Apu. Ooh, I'm on TV. I'm alright. Anyway, you know, it's sort of this weird thing that happens in my head. It could drive you nuts, but I tend to not live in MacHomer for more than a couple of months of the year.
So, so you say you don't make any goals. So, I mean, are you doing anything else besides MacHomer for goals in the next 5 years or so?
I have too many projects on the go. It's not that I'm not ambitious. I just tend to not sort of say I need MacHomer to be off Broadway by 2012. I don't think that way. I just let things happen. In the meantime, I've been touring this, as I mentioned, this kind of 9-hour show, which is called Lip Sync. And that's by probably the world's biggest theater director. His name is Robert Lepage, or Robert Lepage. And I've been touring that to Paris and London, Madrid and Sydney and Moscow, and we were just in New York a couple of weeks ago. And that takes up quite a bit of my time. I have 2 other solo shows that are still on tour, one called Bigger Than Jesus, which is a little more challenging than MacHomer. But I've toured it all over the world. I've performed it in 4 different languages. So I'm always learning new languages, learning this. Yeah. I've toured a new show called Hard Sell, which is about marketing. And so I'm creating various new shows right now that are all very, very different. I tend to not try and follow in, you know, MacHomer 2 footsteps.
Rick Miller was a really talented guy. We'd like to thank the Quick Center for letting us use their press room. We'd also like to thank Joan Grant for setting up our interview, and of course, thank Rick Miller for coming and speaking with us. I'm Lynley Reilly, reporting for News 64. I'll see you later.